So here we're going to dive into some of the configuration settings that are available for the NetSuite Customer Returns portal. So the solution here has pre-built configurations for SuiteCommerce, Shopify, BigCommerce, and WooCommerce. However, it can be configured to work with other platforms as long as you manage your item fulfillment and your returns through NetSuite. So let's dive in now to this returns settings record, and we'll take a look at the general configuration tab first. Here you can set up options related to contact preferences and return flow configuration, among other options. So if we jump down here to contact preferences, under the contact preferences section, there are fields provided for changing the email contact details that the customers see. These settings can be adjusted differently for support versus reply to emails. The fields provided for that are support email, reply to email, and email sender name. The next section then is the return flow configuration. Now, under the return flow configuration tab, you can adjust some of the basic return functionality available through the portal. These settings include the option to set up auto approvals or indicate certain orders as non-returnable. You can also designate whether customers are required to include comments on each line item of their return request. And finally, by designating a return window, you can limit the period of time during which customers can request returns on an item if a return window is not specified on the item record. Next, we skipped over it, but let's just go back really quick. Some other general returns portal configuration options here include the order lookup criteria options. So like we talked about earlier in the demo, these could be the order number and email, or the order number and zip code. And those, again, are the details that the customer will use to find their order on the order lookup screen. You can also establish the returns portal URL here. Finally, the other fields provided in this section allow you to configure some things around what fields or forms in NetSuite the data is flowing to and from. So for example, you can designate the return authorization form, and you can source like the per line tax field ID, things along those lines. The next tab is the Return Policies tab. Here you can designate refund methods such as credit, refund, or both. You can designate a handling cost that is either a fixed amount or a percentage of the order. You also have an option here not to charge return fees for credit refunds. Really quickly, let's just take a glance at the Destinations tab. It only has one field here, and this is the default return location field. And this is the default for where the customer's return is being shipped to. Now, speaking of shipping, let's hop over to the Shipping tab. And here you can establish defaults that the solution will reference in the case that an item record is missing necessary information, such as the package dimensions, the weight, costs, rates, and package insurance, things like that. Again, items in NetSuite should have all of this configured, but in case they don't, these will be the defaults that the carrier will use to calculate how much a return is and what the return label should be. The fields provided in this section are product weight default, box weight default, and those are both in pounds. And then there are also fields for package width, height, and length, all in inches. And you have a field for return shipping costs, label lowest rate, and package insurance. Finally, the last tab here on this record is the Integrations tab. And this is where we're going to take another look at that commerce platform. In this demo, we're using a Shopify site, but the return and configuration rules are essentially the same no matter what e-commerce platform you use. So this will be the same configuration experience when connected with SuiteCommerce or a BigCommerce store. It could also be helpful for customers using platforms like WooCommerce or others as long as they're handling that order fulfillment in NetSuite. However, on the page where it says Shopify, they would simply need to add a new e-commerce platform if it isn't listed and select it. And again, you will just set this up in accordance with whichever e-commerce platform you're using. Now, there are other configuration settings and reports available to you with this solution. The remaining records are fairly self-explanatory, so we won't go through all of them. There are configuration records for adjusting return rules and records for where shipments are stored. There's also a configuration for the return labels, for example. So all the information used in this application will be stored in NetSuite. This means that different reports can be created, such as determining the number of returns initiated via the portal and what percentage of orders result in returns, things like that. And that's about it for the configuration for the NetSuite Customer Returns portal.